listening to the Astral Hour. I'm your host, Astral Meadow. Join me as we take a glimpse into the mysterious. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm joined with Inaya Oakroot. She is a paradigm shifter showing the way duality is meant to concrete new life. As the founder of Oakroot Spiritual Academy, Inaya's mission is to empower individuals to embrace their divine duality and navigate the interconnectedness of all aspects of existence. Through simple yet powerful tools, she guides participants to shift inner and outer separations, fostering harmony within and between individuals. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Astral. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you and all of you. Yes.
I'm so happy to get to talk to you and have this time to get to know you a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah.
So for those who don't know you, could you just share a little background on yourself and what led you to become a paradigm shifter? How do you guide individuals towards embodying their pure potential with your work?
Oh, that's a big, big thing. Well, my background, I started, I know I was, an artist when I was 5, so I could run through school and didn't care about degrees. And because that I got good degrees because I just did it for fun or for amusement. And at the age of 14, I was headhunted to be a tennis coach. So after ending, 12 years of school, I was already making my living on tennis and could just go into the art. So that was what I did for a long time, and traveling the world to understand where I came from. And all the time, I like try to go under the surface to see what's really there. So I didn't see that we had the right living into the box that our collective tried to make us be there. And I had the opportunity to live outside the box. So I always try to came to this, that I now feel and know that I'm a paradigm shifter. But so as an artist, I was more like an illusionist. I did surrealistic things to crash the idea of the world. And after a long time, I got very high positions in the art and in the art halls. And then I saw that, because I also had worked with city building and like that. And I saw that, okay, I couldn't produce art anymore because nothing changed. Nothing will change because they are so interested in their power positions and in the hierarchy and everything. So then I shifted to be a consultant in the corporate field, with trying to make what they are doing so exciting, so that the position will have a minor interest. And I worked also in the academy, in a university, to implement entrepreneurship. And when I did that, I came to write a lecture about innovation, and then I came beyond innovation, beyond what we see as innovation, and beyond academy. And there I start to channel my first book, that is called This Creative Existence, Unfolding a New Conscious World. And there is the paradigm shift starting. So how I work with it, it started with that I with the book, I understood that sound is the beginning of everything and can really change materia. So I invested in some crystal singing bowls and just sang to them and try and got the energy of it. And then I started to have like guided meditations from my book with crystal singing bowls, because I saw that I couldn't reach the mind in a normal state, but with crystal singing bowls I came beyond the mind and into the connected mind, heart, body. So that is the first story of it. But in the middle of everything, I actually had a very crucial life, because my real best friend that I was traveling with, she turned schizophrenic and made suicide. And then after speaking to me, her mother, after 4 months, also did it. She was really off road after, of course, after her daughter's suicide. So after that, I was just in the black energy of nothingness, and met a man that I couldn't destroy because I felt my energy was destroying people. And he turned out to be very, very dangerous. And I got a daughter with him. And after 4 years in the relationship, I was able to escape, but I lived in 10 years of hidden address. And during this time, I healed myself with music, or actually sound from the planets, and with crystals. So I also already had this knowledge about my own healing. I didn't go to any psychologist or anything like that, but only healed myself with energy. So after writing my books, and I see that I found that it was very hard for people to grab the insights, because they were beyond their own paradigm. So, and then I found out that we all have so many filters around us with old traumas and karmic energy and belief systems that makes it hard to really shift into viewing from inside instead of what we are taught. So then my 8 years from now, or 9 years now, I have been working more and more in the healing field, and in the Akashic records, and in shamanic energy medicine, and with vocal sound healing. So, well, it's a long answer, isn't it?
Yes. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful journey, going through your own darkness and your own dark
Yeah,
night, and then experiencing the transformation that had, and then learning how to heal yourself, and then sharing that knowledge with other people. I mean, it's just such a
thank you.
beautiful story. And I definitely resonated with quite a bit of it, from my own side of, my mother
Beautiful.
committed suicide. There was a lot of dark night
Mm.
stuff. I'm an artist, so the art was a big part about how I got through the grief, and
Absolutely, for me as well.
right,
Yeah,
it's an outlet. And
it's a lifeline
yeah.
to keep on.
Yes, and so it's just so beautiful. Our journeys are different, but there was a lot in common where I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were an artist. So it was just so
Yeah.
beautiful to hear that part of your story as well. And
Mm.
I do think sound healing, I mean, there's so much more to it. I think it's hard to understand because you don't use logic to understand it. It's like it has to be
Mm.
experienced.
Right.
But I had a sound journey, and I wasn't really, I didn't know what to expect. I went to an ecstatic dance and they had it at the end, and I just went straight into the records. I had a total
Uh,
like mystical out of body experience. I got to see like stuff that at the time didn't make sense, but then I kept running into these experiences, these synchronicities right afterwards
oh yes.
that were validating it, like with science, like what I saw with science. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
really weird because I was listening to a guy, he had a gong, he had some singing bowl, and I'm like, how is the sound causing such a deep memory to come up,
Yeah.
So
It's so fantastic, and when we just allow this role, when we start to trust what's what's really beyond what we thought was real, and start to trust it. It's like, when I write, the pen goes by itself, because it's like just channeling out to the pen, as you do with the art, I guess. Also,
Right.
it's like, wow, I
Yeah.
didn't know that I painted this, and they will come into the painting and say, yes, that's actually what I tried to, what I felt, but I didn't know it was a whale, but it's there in the painting now. It's like
Right.
that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
It's
it's
definitely like we're
so,
channeling, things
yeah,
from these higher spheres, and I'm also
yeah,
an Akashic record reader, so I write. That's
yes,
how I, work with them in my personal relationship with the records is I journal. And so it's like I have this suspicion of what they might say, but when I start to write, it's actually different a lot of times than what I might originally expect. So it's just my hand just starts moving and I'm like, okay, here we
yeah,
go.
yeah. So it's such a, since I was 5, also I had this, even though I didn't know that it was, I believe that I always have been steered by my higher self.
Hmm.
So whatever happened around me, it was such a loud voice from inside that I couldn't do anything but follow.
Right.
And I feel so grateful that I have this, because if I was able to go in the line and do what we should do from the collective, or from our what we are taught to do, life would not have been this vivid. It's such a. I'm also grateful for the 10 years of hidden address and all what happened. And of course, I, I, I have. It's not nice in any way when a friend or anyone makes suicide,
Hmm.
but it's. I can really see that it's a brutal, uh, important path for me to have in my journey here as a human
Right.
being.
Yeah, it's
Otherwise,
like
I
a
could never
catalyst.
be that. Yeah, it's like a catalyst, and the most important in life, I feel, it's to accept life, and with that accept what we see, and then start not to be in judgment of anything, because
Hmm.
then we stop judging ourselves as well. Always when someone in our near to us makes suicide, every one of us have some kind of feeling of guilt,
Hmm.
because it is in our culture to have guilt and shame. It's in the old paradigm of divine of duality that is not
Hmm.
divine, and that is inverted duality that we inherit from so many generations.
Right. So could you
Yeah.
just elaborate a little bit on the concept of divine duality and how individuals can apply this into their daily lives?
Yes, I will try. Yeah, it's so simple. So that's actually maybe it's more hard to understand. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, we are taught that we have a God outside ourselves. We are taught that there were a Garden of Eden where we human beings were that we were thrown out from source, from heaven, and from to be separated from God, and that have created actually our cultures, all the Western cultures. And in my sight, when I meditate, I see the black void, the mother that slowly, by just being there, started to evolve a small consciousness, and that's light. And when consciousness evolved enough, it started to make ecstatic energy together with the void, and that's a yin yang energy, and that is duality. That is all around us. It's a field of thickness that we can feel in a qigong movement. That is everything, and it's all around us. That's why any thought and any emotion, it makes reality, creates reality, because this yin-yang energy is all around us. And they have attraction to each other instead of pulling each other away. So when we have, a divine duality is the attraction between counterparts. So we can take anything that we feel that we are maybe judging ourselves for, and take another side as the counterpart, forgiveness, and move them together to start to heal. And all the energy that we carried from judging will actually, on the path towards each other, will heal. It's such a simple healing. And from that, when we have healed it, we can go out to make the counterparts interplay in the area of the triangle between oneness and the two counterparts of duality. And duality is really, it's a place of creation. Lots of people think that we should go back to oneness, but of course we need to heal in the oneness. But duality is divine. It's meant to be divine, to interplay between counterparts.
I love that. And I have found that the records suggest forgiveness very often as the remedy. And they have given me a special prayer for it. But when I talk about forgiveness, I have found that it has triggered some people because they don't want to forgive and they don't think that they think it's some kind of like superficial Christian ideology
Yes.
thing. And I'm like, I don't push anyone to forgive anyone if they are not ready for it. But I do try to just hint that there's a deeper level of this forgiveness thing that goes way beyond religion, and
Yeah.
it's where healing happens. And so just because Jesus or these avatars promoted it, it's not, no religion owns forgiveness. So it's
Right.
beyond that. But it's like, how can we help people get to the point where they don't feel so triggered even by the word, forgiveness?
Well, I feel, that they really succeeded with the inverted duality. So everything that is a powerful tool, like gratitude, it's like you should be thankful, it's like that, or you should forgive, or it's just for children to play. It's joy. You cannot work and have joy. Everything is separated. So everything that is powerful, we know that it will also be have been used to interfere with ourselves. So actually, what I feel, as you say, when we just do it practically, if we take something that we just feel that we judge, and we put it in our left hand, and then we put forgiveness in our right hand, and just elaborate with putting the palms facing each other, and slowly, slowly meet in the middle, and we will start to feel this ecstasy. For me, it's an ecstasy. It can be amusement, it can be freedom, it can be just soft, but the power are so immense. So experience will tell that it works.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's an experience. It's something that you have to actually go through yourself to understand the power of it. And if you read it in a
Yeah,
book, it just seems,
yeah,
superficial because, oh, of course, the author's probably been manipulated over time or whatever. There's these judgments. So the whole thing is like
yeah,
working through the judgment so that you can
yeah.
get to the forgiveness. And that's where we get to.
Yeah, we need practical being in it. It's like people said to me, "Do you believe in crystals?" And like that. And my experience with crystals, the first one was like, it changed my life. And then I just have a little rose quartz, and I got it from a person when I escaped from my daughter's father, and I didn't go into any reaction to him or anything. I just wanted to neutralize my energy towards him and to go into a new paradigm. And I felt that it was the stone that helped me with
Right.
that, because I was so sensitive by that time. And then I came after a year to the stone shop, and she told me about the energy of the stone, and it was exactly that one. And then I bought another stone that was very, very high. It's a fluoride. And after 4 blocks, I start to feel that I have to throw up. It was so make me sick. So I ran back to the store and said, okay, I can't have this stone, I'm sorry. And then she put a necklace of jade coming down to my solar plexus, and my breath came back and everything was stable. So after that, and the people say, how can you believe in that? Okay, I cannot believe in,
Right.
not believe in it,
Right. Yes. I've
Yeah,
suggested that people just go get a crystal and not read about it and just work with it first and
yeah,
see how you feel in that, time span and then go look it up. And if
yeah,
it corresponds, then maybe there's
yeah.
a little bit of science to it.
Yeah, but
So,
of course, when I was such a sensitive in that time,
mhm,
so when we are sensitive, we are and very vulnerable, uh, energy works so much better because we are so open. So of
right,
course, if you have a total that you don't feel anything and are not in touch with your feelings, you will not sense that much
right,
because you're
right,
close to it.
right. You'll have to see
Yeah.
it manifest physically to believe it instead of just having the experience of,
Yeah. We
building a
are different.
relationship with a crystal.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why crystals are like my friends and they have their own personalities, and I go to different ones for
Mm.
different things. Just like I might
Yeah.
choose a different friend for, a situation in my life to talk to because this person would be the best for advice or for love. So, it really is a relationship with the crystals as well. And their resonance is so beautiful. It's the same as the sound, but it's just instead of sound, it's coming in through the crystal, which actually
Right.
corresponds to one of the sounds or the planet.
Exactly.
Or, and
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful how it is all interconnected. And we have all these different ways to access. There's just the healing is everywhere, you know?
It's everywhere, and it's just to find the resonance.
Yes.
It's like when I make sound healing, I make overtones. All my crystal balls are singing together with me.
Hmm.
Because there are so many different octaves in the high pitch, so
Right.
every one of the notes are start singing and vibrating by the by
Yes.
the tune.
It's like the
Yes.
music of the spheres. It comes and they're all of the
Yeah.
planets and all of the beings. We're all in this
Yeah.
great symphony together, and we all have a little part to play in that.
So the one that don't believe in it, you can maybe feel how happy we are, how we feel the ecstasy of life. Maybe you want it.
Right. So could you
Uh,
share a personal experience that highlights the power of divine duality in your own life journey?
well, actually, it's an everyday experience for me because, as I said, I was artist and a tennis coach, and I was a tennis coach and worked in corporate field and was an artist, and always have different occupations in the same time, and
Mhm.
have different exhibitions and different projects in the same time. We have taught to have one work and be specialists. But actually, when I was, teaching tennis, I knew how to specify exactly how to meet my pupil, to understand how to interact natural with the ball
Mhm.
from the art, and tennis taught me so much about entrepreneurship when I worked with that. And so because when you are in wonder of what you are doing, when you love what you are doing, it's like a living life. And then doing something else, it's the interaction starts. And it's divine duality, it's attraction between counterparts. So my life, I I had a really successful, uh, you can call it career, but I don't call it career, but as an artist, because I came to the very top. And then I start to be, work with organizational leadership. And I got into the main boards to be a consultant and to work with the university to make their brand. And it's just because I interplayed with everything. So it's made it's made such a more impacting and powerful results. So the divine duality is not only about healing; it's really to be engaged in what you are doing, and then they will start to associate with each other the different things that you are doing.
Right. Right. I'm loving this
That's
because as
yeah,
you're talking, I'm seeing Carl Jung's model of the psyche in my mind. And with his work, it's a big thing is reconciling the opposites. And that's part of the, self-individuation process. So it's interesting because, he approached this from this psychological perspective, but you're finding out these same truths, but from this spiritual experience that you're having. Like you're stumbling on the exact same
mm,
concepts, but
yeah,
it's really cool because we can approach them from these different perspectives and still get to the same truth of it's about reconciling the two
yeah,
polarities
because
and
it's life.
integrating. Right, right, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
life, right? But this is how, he helps heal people that have like mental trauma and how he helps work with that.
yeah.
Um, is it's this self-awareness exercise, and then
Yes.
recognizing the shadow of yourself, and integrating
Ah,
that
yes.
and loving it.
Yes, and loving it. And that can be very hard to understand what I feel. But really, when we understand the shadow and the light of everything, we understand that the shadow is a portal to next enlightenment.
Right.
When we go into it, we have the portal to even higher consciousness.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we will be in status quo.
Right. Right. So could we talk a little bit about Oakroot Spiritual Academy, and how you work to help seekers experience this divine duality concept and work with it?
Yeah, it's so different to different people, but the ones that I love the most is the retreats because it's really life changing. The retreats we are, really go into the word view and understand it and produce it through ourselves, and from there, people will have so simple tools to just enter their life and continue with it. So it's not like a retreat and then you go back to life, because you can live divine duality even in the most crucial situations.
Mm.
And so we can if we know the energy of transformation, then we can transform anything and be wherever we are. But first of all, to do them, there need to be some healing, because as soul realignment healer, I need to. It's first connect to your soul realignment, what your soul is built to be, and in the Akashic records, everything is seen, and then to see just now from your intention where you want to go, where are the shadows that stands in the way. And many times it's things that we don't know that we have created them ourselves. We just have been receptive to things that destroyed or disturbed our energies. And when we can just go heal them, the path to go to be the creative self is open. And also by energy medicine that I work with, is shamanic energy medicine. It's more pulling up the core emotion that stands beyond traumatic things that comes up over and over and over again, and to see the core emotion of it and heal it. And there it's uncomfortable because it's so real and we understand it, and it's such a relief when we come out of it. So realignment is more calm because I do the healing before I meet the client, and then the client take it down by themselves. But it's more it's more clean, but they have different purposes. You know, if you are deeply into mental and emotional, stress, you will not get healed by healing in the fifth dimension. Then we need to be there with emotions and really go into them and dissolve them. So they're different. And when I do work with sound, it can be, like physical things that are not working in the body, and I can scan with undertones, and then go into where I find that there are some places where it doesn't flow, and I can go into with overtones and undertones. And we can also do regressive self-singing. So it's like the client to the sound, and with the sound we can hear the story, or I can hear the story from another lifetime that created this energy that is not possible to come away from, but we can do it through to go back to the portal of where it started and create a new lifeline. If it's from another lifetime, and everything that is super traumatic, it has been developed for a long time. Even though we feel that the trauma is here, that we remember it has its origin earlier.
Right.
So it's about my clients. It's about like that.
Right. Right. And
And
it's
also
individual.
I use art as art as a tool uh, in different ways, because art is not creating something beautiful only. It's also, as you said before, it's a lifeline, and it's a way to materialize something, and to be able to see it come through. And it's such a healing tool to create, and also to build up. We can build up our all our chakras and the energy and connection to source by drawing, by
Right.
painting. So it's interactive between different tools that I use. Yeah,
Yeah. I love how
yeah,
you approach it on an individual basis and meet the person where they're at. So if
mm,
they need more of this physical, mental, emotional support, you're going to meet them there, but if they've
yeah,
done a lot of that and they're ready to go to this deeper level, you can go there too. So it's based on what that individual needs. But as you were talking
yeah,
about the healing, I had this visual of a tree, and you can't take care of a
mm,
tree by approaching it from the bark alone. If there's a problem
mm,
with the root, the
mm.
tree will continue to have issues on the surface. And so it's important to go
Right.
all the way back. And I think some people, if they're not well aware of like past lives and how we bring things into this present body,
Mm,
it's hard for them to understand, why were they born with this particular thing, or why is this one issue come back up over and over again? Why can they not face it?
yeah.
And this is
Yes.
where I love the records and things like that, because we can actually go back on the timeline. And that's how if you heal the root, then the surface starts to look better. It starts to, and you might not
Yeah.
ever even see the root, but if you've
Yeah.
worked on it, then it shows up in material form, you
And
know?
it's so fantastic because when you are healed, or like an energy cord is, finished, it's like you see everything that was before was so traumatic, and you just look at it and you see this is real, but it doesn't affect me any longer.
Exactly. Yes, it's a beautiful gift to be able to truly heal at that deep level, because especially with my mom's suicide, like that was something
Uh,
that had I not had my spiritual guides and,
mm,
my therapist was a Reiki master and, a metaphysician, and I had a lot of spiritual support people in my community that had, some of them that did sound
mm,
healing, some of them did energy healing. But each of those things was really important for me to work through that. And now, I used to not even be able to talk about it. I would just go straight back to the trauma. And then I would say, well,
mm,
this is showing me that I haven't actually healed it yet. Because every time it would come
mm.
up, I would regress. And so it was still in my field and it was
Right.
still affecting me. But over
Yeah.
time, working on it with the clearing and getting to the root and understanding, the cause of why she did it and how she'd actually done it in her previous
Mm,
life and how, what my role is and how forgiveness is the key and all this, working through all those steps. Now I can talk about it and I don't just get shattered. I don't go right back to, oh my God, how, and it took me a couple years and a lot of friendships and love to get to that point.
mm.
But healing is possible. And I think it's
It
important to
is.
share our journey so people can see, like, okay, I'm
Mm,
going through a hard time too. Grief is a really hard place to be in. Death is a
mm,
really hard thing to process, and we all have to face it.
mm,
So it's
mm.
important for us to share our stories about how did we, overcome and how are we filled
Yeah.
with love in that space now instead of just fear and,
Yes.
trauma.
It's so easy for us to come into other victimhood
Hmm.
or being the one that is, that is the caution of the happening,
Hmm.
that we are the perpetrator or the victim. And that is from the old paradigm of duality, that we have this triangle of victimhood, and the first it's like someone feel perpetrated from something and they get a victim, and then they accuse the other, and the one who's a perpetrator feel as a victim, and it continues in their triangle. So
Uh-huh.
actually this is how we can see war out there. And also every time when we are in reaction, we go into this triangle of victimhood, perpetrator, and accuser.
Hmm.
So stepping out of that is to start to chord into something else, to make attraction, and just step out of this triangle.
Right. And to
Because
recognize that you're the
yeah,
perpetrator too. Like you embody
yeah,
all the aspects.
yeah,
And this is where forgiveness is so cool. So with the records, the prayer that they give me, not only do I
yeah,
forgive the person, but I
yeah.
forgive myself. And,
Mm,
forgive anything of the past that was associated with it. And it really is that simple because you end the cycle of victim perpetrator because you
all
say,
right.
okay, I forgive you and I forgive myself for anything I may have done
Yeah,
that led to
yeah,
you looking at me this way. So,
yeah.
we just go back and forth. And when you go into past lives, you realize, oh my gosh, they've been bickering over this for so many years now. And it really is just
So
like, I forgive you for stealing my dog in a past life. Like, it's okay. It's okay.
yes.
We can move
Oh,
on now.
wonderful. Yeah. So I think this is a very simple way to understand what we are in when we are in reaction and when we judge anything, that we are in this triangle between between perpetrator, victim, and accuser. When we see that something is bad and something is good, and we judge things to be in putting away from each other, we are actually in this triangle,
Mhm.
and it's like the outline of a triangle. And when we have attraction, this inner part, the area of the triangle, it's an energy of of eternal life. It's a Tesla energy, Nikola
Mhm.
Tesla energy. So the triangle, it's both the energy of distraction and the construction.
Mhm. And recognizing where you're at in that triangle or just recognizing the
Mm,
pattern in general is like a
yeah.
little hack because now you have insight and you can
Mm,
actually work on it and not just repeat this endless
Yeah.
pattern. And so it's like
Yeah.
really cool to have someone like you that can help work with them, to
Mm.
bring out like what is the root of this? Where did this come from? What can we do to assist you? And how can you recognize the pattern as you start to fall into victim or perpetrator? And how can you dissolve that and,
Yeah.
really go
And
beyond?
for me as a healer and coach, it's so important to make all like a self-healing tool afterwards. That we
Mm,
are not. It's not like we are here to be. I'm the healer and you are the client, but
mhm.
really to share the wisdom and to make it go on.
Right. Yeah, I like that people are coming to your retreats to learn and heal, but they're not coming to escape their reality. I think a lot of
Yeah,
times there is this, they go to Bali and they have this wonderful retreat and they're leaving their world behind and they are escaping. And for that moment, they're happy.
yeah.
And then they go back to their life and they're still
Yeah, because they have
unhappy.
a worldview that doesn't come through. Uh, this. It's also in this life when people are making yoga in their spare time, and then they go back to work and they produce in a way that really contradict the healing that they're doing with the yoga, and then they have to do more yoga, and they want to get out of their work and do more and more of these things that where they feel so good, but
Mhm.
still they have their mind understanding duality in the wrong way. So if they will go doing yoga for full time, they will still
Right,
be there and doing it as work instead, and it will not help them. So
right.
it's really to crack this nut of how reality is when source is not a split but an expansion.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there's
That's what I
true
feel.
transformation that's happening. It's not just
Yeah,
putting a band-aid on a wound.
right. It's understanding ourselves as this multidimensional being that we are. As you were saying, when we see that, okay, I understand that I was angry at you because you stole my dog last lifetime. When we start to widen our life and to see a bigger picture, we can forgive anything
Right.
because we have compassion and understanding and acceptance.
Right. And we would want that same forgiveness, for something that we
Yeah,
did, that looking back, you're like, I don't even
yeah,
remember doing that. I'm so sorry. Like you would
yeah.
apologize for that because it seems ridiculous now.
And I
So,
don't have forgiveness for someone else. I just forgive myself, and that's done.
right, right. Because
Yeah,
you're interconnected to everyone. So if you can love
yeah,
your shadow, then you can also see other people's shadow and have compassion because you can be like, well, I've also, had
exactly.
that ickiness on me. And so I forgive you because it sucks to be there. And,
Yeah,
it does open you up for compassion. And,
yeah.
yeah. So, um, let's see. How do you envision the future of consciousness evolution? And what role do you see your work playing in this ongoing journey?
Hmm. I actually see, as I wrote most of it in my first book, this creative existence unfolding a new conscious world, that we are in a paradigm where because of internet we can see it on as a reality, but it's also that like Earth has internet because it has been in a higher consciousness and more abstract. And when it's coming into this growth, what happens is that people that before we could have hierarchy very easily, but now everyone can, with their own will, if they are healed enough to want their own best, they can find through other portals to find their own success
Mhm.
that we couldn't before. And that makes chaos to all the cultures because they can't rule us any longer. And people are moving, they are refugees, they are, cultures are blending. it makes both chaos, but it's also make ability to see a bigger spectrum of life than we could before. So nothing that's why we can't plan for 1 year ahead, because we don't know the future. It goes faster and faster. And, you know, so for me, I just see the future as, yeah, if we choose to believe in the split, we will have harder and harder lives. If we choose to align in ourselves and start to listen inward and start to heal, we will benefit from this. And that's what my books is about. It's about the abilities in all what happens now that many sees as a chaos or
Right.
something that is dangerous. So my part is to open the door to a path that we maybe didn't see before, and do it by healing. But in the main, it's to see a world view that lies beyond what we have seen before.
Right. I love that. And I do
Mm.
think, things like the internet, being able to connect with these other people and these other cultures, you
Yeah,
can see like, well, we're actually have so much in common. And, like
yeah,
I think, if you're raised in a certain country, every country has like another country that they don't like, or, like, oh,
mm.
well, these people wronged us in the 1700s or whatever. And like you're almost raised in that. But then as you have the internet and you start to connect with these other people, you're like, they're just like us. Like
Yeah,
we can
right.
forgive our ancestors for the wrongs that they
Mm.
have done. And there's been a lot of ancestral work that I've done in my records too. And I'm just like,
Mm.
I'm not going to, sit here and hold the weight of their sins forever. I'm going to work and heal that. And then
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't have to pay for something that people did 500 years ago.
no.
And so it's like it is
Um,
important to heal that so you don't just feel like crap because your ancestors did something, wrong. And that's why we incarnate and we try to rewrite it.
I believe also that's why also there are so many healers coming up now, so many
Mhm.
people who are really uh, getting this higher consciousness about the realm of human existence, as
Mhm.
you're telling, because we have to heal so much of what has been done in the old paradigm. We
Right.
have to, so we are not only to be balanced ourselves, but actually we have a lot of digging and healing of things that isn't ours, but we are carrying them until we healed ourselves enough that we have cleaned up what has been. So it's like really a collective work that we are doing together here.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, our individual healing. And I try to highlight this for people that you think of yourself as this small being and like you don't really
Uh,
matter that much. But because, as above, so below, as below, so above, like you doing the healing
mm,
work, even if you're just working on yourself, even if you never expand and, are able to become some famous energy healer for others, just healing yourself opens up
yeah,
that space in the collective and shows an example of healing to the people all around you, which is like you're
yeah,
shining a little light in the dark. And so it becomes a collective endeavor. So as we heal
right,
ourselves, we actually heal the collective. And it's such a beautiful, like symbiotic thing. But sometimes we
yeah.
don't always see the ripple effect. So we might think, oh, well, I did the healing, but what did that do? But it's like,
We
it
do,
does
we don't.
everything.
So it is about trust. It is about trusting your feeling, and that is enough what you are doing, even though you not travel the world and do big things. That
Right.
trust that where you are just now, and if you just do some kind of healing of your own field, that it
Mhm.
impacts so much, and don't care about if it helps so many else. If you get more joyful, you can trust that you have healed so many else's. And
Right.
we can also see this about the field, as as about the 100 monkeys, Robert Sheldrake, and the field. So and the morphic field. that, if what they experimented with, helping monkeys to clean their potatoes in
Hmm.
an island, in a very rural island. And when they healed their potatoes, they tasted so much better. So they continued doing it. And then they saw that monkeys with the same frequency as these monkeys in a totally other island, far, far, far away, started to clean their potatoes
Right.
because the wisdom was in the field of
Yes.
their consciousness.
Yes.
So we heal that field of consciousness that we live in. And then we
Mhm.
move to next level of consciousness. And then we heal that field of consciousness. It, it,
Right.
it's like it's like water. We attract exactly the field of energy that we are in, like the river want to come out into the ocean. And then if we are attracting what we don't like, this kind of ocean comes to us. And if we attract what we want, actually we also heal the energy in that place. So it's kind of simple if we just open to see and hear what energy is, and
Right.
that it's beyond everything. It
Right.
stands, creates everything.
Yeah. And our fields
Ah,
touch other people's fields. So even if we're not
yeah.
consciously making these verbal statements or, we don't have to always intellectualize it. Sometimes it's just you're at the store and you're walking by someone in your field. Now, if you are operating from a healthy place and your
Mm,
field is clean and you're full of love and compassion and you walk past somebody that's in a in a lower place, maybe of grief, then you have this
mm.
extra energy just floating around and it can kind of trickle over. And it's
Yeah.
just like I think about this with the story of some of the great masters, like they just have to be in a location.
Mm.
And they have such a strong field that everyone around them will experience some kind of healing. And it's just you don't have to actually touch everybody. It's just you being healthy and you go out into the world and it's just like life is coming out of you. And it's
Isn't it
like,
magic?
yeah, it's like, and you're
Yeah.
not even depleted because you have like, you've healed your field and now the vitality just comes in and flows, right? And so you're
Mm.
always vitalized, but then the excess ripples out and helps those people that are, maybe haven't done the energy work or maybe are kind of leaking energy or don't know how to mend. And then you're kind of helping them build them up
Yeah.
just by having your energy like available, and
Yeah.
it's just such a beautiful
Uh,
thing.
yeah. I can see it so obvious here with my work because
Mhm.
I never get clients with making some marketing or anything. But if I'm going to course, as just as a pupil in that course, so I get so many clients just because I am there and I didn't don't
Yes.
speak about what I'm doing.
Yes.
It's like they I go to travel to Egypt with other sound healers, and half of them become my clients, and I never marketing myself. It's
Right.
just that they attract and understand that, okay, here I can heal. As
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't do good with marketing either. First off, I'm just not, it's not attractive to me and I just like shut down even thinking about
yeah,
it. But same, all of my clients, they come to me at the right time and it's like it's
mm,
always divine timing. I don't ever have to push. I just share information and love people and operate from compassion and then the people find me or I
yeah,
find them and it's just such a beautiful thing, but it's like to just trust. I just have to
yeah,
trust that when the timing is right, the people will find me that need me.
yeah,
And, I really have detached from trying to market because first off, it's
yeah.
not successful, it's exhausting and it's draining. So I'm like, this isn't the way. But when people find me
It's
or
in the
you,
old paradigm.
it
It's
is.
really it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
mm,
people will gravitate towards you. And so, it's interesting because of the internet, sometimes people find me that have never actually met
mm,
me, but because, I have this reach on the internet where I've just shared videos and stuff, they can get a sense of your personality. And they're like, oh, this is lighting me up. Maybe this is the next person I'm supposed to work with. And so it's a really
Mm,
beautiful thing that you don't actually have to meet them all the time to
mm.
still people will find you when the time is right. So, yeah. What advice would you offer to someone who is interested in exploring their own consciousness but feels overwhelmed and unsure where to begin?
Hmm. It's so different for different where we are and why we are not in balance. But everything starts with breath. Mm, and I believe what we can do first of all, it's is to make the breath going vertical so that we interact between our three consciousness that we have used in divided. You know, we have been locating everything from our mind when the mind is operating by itself, and then we know that the mind is, going in a very fast. The hertz, it's so fast, so we are stressed and the mind is just flowing around and have no stableness and can only go back to history or what we have been taught. And directly, if we connect our heart and mind with the breath, just breathing vertical between the mind and the heart, and start to activate the heart so that it's a bigger and bigger field of vibration from the heart that is connected to everything. The mind slows down and we activate our third eye, where we have connection to our highest self that is not in this human 3D life, but can see it from another perspective.
Mm.
So for me, the first thing is to align our intelligences. Our intelligences, our body, our heart, and our mind is divided because we live in 3D. So everything materialize and get into fractalization. So in a higher place of ourself that we also exist, we only have one unit of consciousness, and that is what we connect to, and we can be in our wise and most balanced self if we connect them, and to ground. So if we are in some kind of super stress, I will just invite the person to do some exhausting sports or running, or
Mm.
making the body come into balance with the mental rush. So when we are in balance with these three energies, we are in balance. But if we can't come there because we are such in stress, we need to do something to make the body come into the same level as our mental. So if it's a super stressful situation, we can't do it just with the breath, but we can do it with activating our body.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love the simplicity of that advice, that it
Uh,
is
uh,
very obtainable, to just, take a moment, take some breaths, feel your body. What does it need? And I really love
yeah.
doing yoga. I just do it with this online teacher, but she at multiple points will say, do what your body needs in this moment. And, I'll
Mm,
just start getting in that flow state, and just her asking that question and then me, tuning in. It's like, oh, my body's actually giving me all sorts of information, but it's not
right.
logical. It's done through the sensations of feeling. I like, oh, it's tight here, or oh, this wants to open. But,
Mm,
it really is just taking that moment to take the breath and ask and tune into the body and say, well, what can I do to support you? And then the body, when it's balanced, helps us,
mm,
support us back. So it's like our body, just like that crystal, is our friend, and it has all sorts of information and guidance. But I think so many of
mm.
us are, kind of dissociated, and we're not really in the body. Um,
Yeah.
And that's probably
So
another paradigm thing. It's like the internet. We're always on our phones. We're always, having to calculate, and we're so mental that
yeah,
a lot of us aren't even aware of like what is my body feel? We don't even think about it until it
yeah,
gets sick or we're in pain. Um,
right. And
but
if we are so exhausted by, like we have super trauma existence, it's not like you feel the consciousness of your body, but when you exhaust your body, you can breathe again. You
right,
can
right,
you can feel that the energy is starting to rest.
right.
Yeah,
Yes, I love that.
and you can see around you again. If you are in such a stress, it's like you can't see anything. It's just like a fog.
Right, that fight or flight feeling that they talk about.
Yeah, yeah, or just impulse from the body to be in totally panic, you know.
Right,
And
right.
then you need to go on with maybe just run, put on your shoes and run,
Yes.
because yeah, when you are totally exhausted, you know that also the mental is calmed, and then you can just be there, lying on the back, and start to see the clouds again moving, and feel your heart getting calmer.
Mm. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that.
Mm.
So, we're about to wrap up, hitting our hour. Could you share the best way for our audience to follow you or sign up for some of your workshops or retreats that you offer?
Hmm. I would love to. Thank you so much. My webpage where I have everything is Oakroot Spiritual Academy.com, and there, after a while, there come a sign that one can just sign in for a free discovery session. So it costs nothing, and I can just be there as a discovery session of that person, and it's free. So one can also read about different offers there.
Yeah, is
And
your book
yeah,
available on there too, or
yeah, all the three books are
okay,
available there. Yeah,
awesome. Because I definitely want to read some of your work more in depthly. So, yeah. Well,
thank
thank
you.
you so much for taking this time to talk with us and share your wisdom with us. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Astral. It's really sisterhood. I love to be here with you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you. And thank you all for tuning in. Check us out next time on the Astral Hour.